Enter the Free, Gossamer Gear's first entry into the freestanding tent market, and an impressive one at that, coming in at under a kilogram packed weight for a double-walled, fully freestanding option. Let's have a look at the specs. The full packed weight of the Free is 936 grams and it retails for 740 AUD. The packed size of the tent is 43 centimeters long and 13 centimeters in diameter, which is relatively small for a freestanding tent, and means that it should attach quite easily to a bike or take up minimal space in your pack. The main fabric is completely redesigned from the previous version, using a 15 denier recycled Robic nylon blended with a 20 denier dope-dyed ripstop grid and coated in a PFAS-free SIL PU coating. In layman's terms, this means that the outer is treated to be UV resistant and water repellent, and the inside is seam taped to make it waterproof with a hydrostatic head of nearly 5,000 millimeters. This is significantly more than many three-season tents, which sit around the 12 to 1500 millimeter range, and Gossamer Gear have aptly called this new fabric ClearSkies. If you're a fan of trekking poles, it's worth noting that we've also just taken delivery of their updated the 1 and the 2 tents, both of which are now using their ClearSkies fabric. In terms of space, the Free is 218 centimeters long, 86 centimeters at the head, and tapers to 54 centimeters at the feet, and the peak height is 99 centimeters. Now this is definitely on the tighter side for a one-person tent, and it's worth noting that the taper means that it won't fit a wide sleeping mat unless it's a mummy shape, or you're comfortable pushing against the sides of the tent to stretch it out. On the inside, you definitely feel that you're in a small tent, although the extra space in the vestibule adds to the feeling of space. Storage inside the tent is again kept to a minimum, with an overhead pocket for your phone and a loop for a head torch, and a small pocket next to the door for other small bits and pieces that you might want to store. This means that the vestibule will become a very important storage area for your pack and any larger items, so it's good that they've kept the size of this quite generous. In nice conditions, having one or both of the doors open will help with the feeling of space, and fortunately, they haven't skimped out on the tiebacks for both sides of the door. This will also help a lot with ventilation, as there are no vents in the fly. Due to it being a double-walled tent though, condensation should be less of an issue than on many single-walled equivalents, but it is worth noting that pitching out the 6 stakes correctly will be key to ensure adequate airflow to reduce moisture building up within the tent. Now you might be wondering, at this point, how it's a freestanding tent if I'm talking about it needing to be pegged out correctly for airflow. But this is the same with all freestanding tents. They sit up on their own, but I can't really think of a circumstance where it isn't still worth staking out at least the 4 corners. And in any kind of changeable weather, I personally would be staking out the vestibule and the backside of the tent for both ventilation, storage, but also to keep the outer taut and avoid it rubbing with the inner. Considering this is the lightest double-walled freestanding tent on the market, it's no surprise that they've had to make some compromises somewhere to save weight. And I personally am pretty glad that they've chosen to reduce the size of the tent rather than decrease the fabric durability or weatherproofness. Due to its slim profile and tapered shape, I imagine when pitched into the wind, this will be a very stable tent. And with the 4 guy out points and the included guy lines, you'll be able to really stake it to the ground when necessary. The smaller footprint of this tent also means that you won't have too much trouble finding a flat spot that's big enough to camp. Although with only a single door, you'll want to consider which way you want to face in order to both get in and out and, more importantly, for the morning view. Unlike trekking pole tents, freestanding options are generally much easier to set up, and the Free is no exception. Gossamer Gear have colour-coded the aluminium foot pieces with the webbing at the corners so that you know exactly what goes where. The only trouble I had my first time pitching it was that I attached the poles upside down so that the top latch was above instead of below, and I couldn't hook the inner to the poles, so watch out for that. The frame of this shelter is a single DAC NFL 8.7mm aluminium pole set, which crosses at the central connector. This is the gold standard in aluminium poles. The inner then clips to this and the outer sits over the top. This is fairly standard for this style of tent, but it does mean that it can't be pitched fly first, something that can be handy in wet weather. So who is the Free actually for? Now, this isn't a tent for everybody. It's been designed with a specific purpose in mind, fast and light missions where a freestanding tent is a better option than a trekking pole tent, either due to terrain, personal preference, because you don't use trekking poles, or if you're bikepacking. If you're after a palace to lounge in all afternoon, look elsewhere. But if you want a very lightweight freestanding tent, this is the clear frontrunner in this specific niche when you consider its weight, price, and the benefits of having a double-walled shelter. If you like the sound of this fabric and the features that Gossamer Gear like to include in their tents, but you do use trekking poles, then check out either the 1 or the 2, as these could be great options for you. This new ClearSkies fabric is now across all 3 of the tents in their range, and it's an impressive proposition. Now at $740, it's certainly not cheap, but it sits at the lower end of other comparable tents, and when you consider its specs, you're certainly getting value from your purchase. So let me know in the comments section below, are you team freestanding or do you prefer trekking pole shelters?